What is going on, everybody? It is 7:17 p.m. here in Florida, and I did not know if this Q&A would happen. The reason behind that is because my internet has been out all day. So today, Wednesday, I usually drop my daughter off at my parents' house. They do a little bit of babysitting. They allow me to work on things that I need to work on, and that was today. So I dropped my daughter off. I ran to the grocery store. Got home, mowed the lawn, did all that fun stuff, sat down at like 11 in the morning to start cranking out videos and streaming in the afternoon. And I was like, oh, the internet's down. Oh, and then it just came back online at like 4:30 p.m. my time. So I was half expecting it not to work even through the evening, but I'm super glad we're here hanging out. Welcome, guys. Stuart, good to see you, man. Vince, Muddler, Robin, Took, Sapity, hope everybody is doing well. Okay, there we go. So, Stuart, this is your first Q&A. Welcome, man. These are always super low-key, just hanging out. It's fun. It's a little more, it's smaller, more intimate. I get to shoot the shit with you guys for a little bit. I answer questions from Patreon, and I also talk to the chat. So stay for a while. Let's hang out a little bit. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're doing good. Guys, thank you so much for the generous super chats right off the bat here. I greatly appreciate that. I don't know why is my internet still working? Okay, good. It looks like it is. For whatever reason, my screen is not refreshing. I don't know what's going on. Okay, but it looks like I'm still broadcasting, so I guess I'll keep going. All right. If you guys can still hear me, let me know in the chat. But Robin, Took, Vince, Ben, thank you guys so much for the first super chats of the stream. Thank you so much, guys. I also have about 10 questions from Patreon that I will get to accordingly. So, welcome one and all. Robin, thank you so much. Robin asks, have you heard they're releasing the Snyder cut of Justice League? I know you were advised against Batman vs. Superman, but I can't wait for Zack's vision to be a reality. Is that official? Is that an official thing that they are releasing it? For the longest time, it seems like, and I've never been against it. And also, Robin, you're right. I was advised against seeing that movie. I've never seen it. I wasn't that big of a fan of Man of Steel. I like the first half of it. So, and then one of my best buds who kind of knows my taste in movies, when he got out of Batman vs. Superman, he said, do not go see it. So I usually trust his judgment. That being said, I'd be curious to watch a Snyder cut. It's interesting because, and I've never been against a Snyder cut. I think what people have an issue with is the annoyance of the people continuously pressing for it, right? I mean, anytime that somebody is just continuously harping on the same shit over and over and over and over and over again, whether it be on YouTube or Twitter or anything, right? It gets annoying as hell. So I think just people rolling their eyes at a lot of stuff like that made people super annoyed with it. I've never been against it. You have director's cuts and final cuts for various movies, various franchises. Why not have a Batman vs. Superman director's cut? Wouldn't you? I guess you would call it a director's cut, right? So, yeah, I'm glad you're excited. I'm sure a lot of people are excited. I heard that some of the actors said it was an actual thing. I still don't really know too much about it, but I'll keep an ear out for the news. And maybe I will actually get... I'll actually see it. And I'm really curious how the internet is going to react to the Snyder cut. I mean, it's been built up by so many people on fucking Twitter constantly, nonstop for years, that if it's just as bad, then are people going to admit that it's just as bad, or are they going to kind of save face and be like, this is what we wanted? But anyway, I'm glad you're excited, man. Eventually I'll see it, I promise. Eventually I will. And when I do, I will make a video for sure. But anyway, I appreciate that. And did you guys hear that Death Star alarm there? That means we have a new member of the fleet, the Reaction Nerd. What is the little avatar there? Are those 3D glasses? It's really small on my screen. But the Reaction Nerd, thank you so much for becoming the latest member of the fleet, man. I greatly appreciate that. Is my internet? Sorry, guys. If you guys can still hear me, let me know. I'll stop asking that, but like my browser just keeps completely freezing, and I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know. Anyway, Reaction Nerd, thank you so much for becoming the latest member of the fleet, man. I don't know if you know this, you get a special role in the HelloGreedo Discord server. You can find a link in the video description below. And also, I do these supporter Q&As once a month. So I greatly appreciate that, man. If everybody in the fleet could do me a favor and welcome the Reaction Nerd to the fleet. Thank you so much once again, man. Welcome. Sit back and hang out. So, cool. I appreciate that, man. Okay, so I got Took, Vince, Ben, and Thomas. I'm going to piggyback between or hop between Patreon questions and Super Chats if that's cool. I'll read these Super Chats and then I'll continue to do, or I'll start doing that. So Took17, hey man, can't stay for the stream. COVID news reporting overload and resulting brain mush. I believe it, dude. But can you please say congrats to my oldest, Jacob. Graduated 8th grade today. Nice. It is May 20th. It is that time of the year. On to high school. Crazy. I can't even believe, even comprehend what your experience, how you're feeling there, too. That's to have your oldest, go to high school. That's crazy. Some of the most formidable years of your life, right? But Jacob, congratulations. 8th grade, 8th grade's fun. I hope you had a lot of fun, man. And 9th grade and onward, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you get a little bit of freedom, right? But it's exciting. Make the best of it, try as hard as you can. And it's a very exciting time. Very exciting time. Be smart and make a ton of friends. Make a ton of friends. We will never forget that feeling of like going to high school for the first time. It's just a completely new world, and everybody's a little nervous, right? I don't know how it is nowadays, but well, I don't even want to say anything. This was 2001, so it's a different world today. I was going to say something about freshmen and seniors, but that is not what happens nowadays, I'm sure. But dude, Jacob, congratulations. Make the most of it. Have a lot of fun. And, yeah. Whole new world. But I appreciate that, Duke. And, yeah, I'm sure all the COVID news. At a certain point, it's like, what else? What else can they give a press conference on? What else? I mean, has much changed in the past 12 hours since they last did a press conference? It is crazy. It's like there kind of just needs to be like one broadcast every couple days, or if some big news comes out, I find that a lot of the stuff just kind of repeats itself over and over again. It's understandable, I guess. But yeah, I'm sure your brain is mush at this point too. But I appreciate that, man. But yeah, Vince Wynn, Greedo, you're a smart guy, right? Nope. What the heck is up with this? I'm reading today about NASA discovering a parallel universe. What? No. Another universe? Mathematically, there's multiple dimensions, but let's see. Parallel universe. NASA discovers evidence of bizarre parallel universe where physics, time operate in reverse. Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. I have no idea what the hell this is talking about. Why is they're showing like a giant weather balloon? Researchers conducting an experiment in Antarctica discovered particles from a universe that was born during the same Big Bang that created... Oh, this article is all kind of messed up with spelling. New Scientist. There's only... Oh, New York Post. Oh, that... Interesting. I don't know anything about this. Unilad. Why are all of these websites that I'm reading it from possible evidence of parallel universe? Interesting. Well, that's, I mean, mathematically, it's been a thing for a very long time. Bubble universes, parallel universe, the multiverse, I'm gonna have to look into this. I don't want to read an article on a live stream, but this is really interesting. This is what I'm gonna read in bed tonight, Vince, and then I'll report back to you. I promise. The balloon which held an antenna would go up for a month and scan thousands of miles, and particles coming down the space. 2 flights a year. It results only brief moments of the background noise. Yeah, the microwave background radiation from the Big Bang. I'll read into this, Vince. I don't want to kill everybody here, but I appreciate that, man. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Anyway, nice. All right, let's okay, I'll get Benjamin B, and then I will jump over to a Patreon question if that is cool with you guys, and then I will continue on with the chat and Thomas and everybody else here. Benjamin B says Sith get their power from emotion/passion. Does that mean they could draw power from joy? What about a Force user who utilizes empathy? Jedi say they are hope, but isn't hope an emotion? I actually really like that kind of idea there, Benjamin, in some weird abstract way. I mean, maybe it would be a little goofy and almost like X-Men-y to have Jedi that are almost like those kind of embody those like tragedy and comedy masks from the theater. You know what I mean? You could have a Sith or a Jedi, or like a Sith who would embody empathy or joy or something like that. That's actually a really kind of a really fun thing to think about. Emotion and passion, obviously hate and anger. So maybe that's a little too on the nose, and I think it's more I don't even know how to put this. I wish I had time to answer this, because it's actually kind of a fun topic of a conversation for a video maybe in the future, if I can actually break it down into a video. I think maybe when they say that, you know, thrive on emotion and passion and all that kind of stuff, obviously all of the, goddamn. That would actually be kind of a fun, like I said, a fun story. If you had like a comic book full of a bunch of various Sith or Jedi who, I guess primarily Sith, who could, who all fell under a different state of emotion, or like their main emotion was this. This is Joy Man. This is Empathy Guy. This is Angry Dude. Almost like superheroes with various superpowers, but their emotions would dictate what they do with the Force. Maybe that would be too, like, pigeonholed, you know what I mean? Like, too finite in what like a Force user or a Sith would do. It's kind of a spectrum, right? All emotions and everything. But it would be kind of fun to... wasn't there something like that in the Clone Wars? If I'm remembering correctly, there was like a cast of characters who... they were like the physical embodiment of the Force, I feel like, and they all had these same masks on, and they all had, I think, the same like female voice or something like that, and they all kind of represented the various emotions. I could be completely like I don't know, messing up that memory. But anyway, Ben, that's kind of a fun thing to think about. I wish I sound like a goddamn bubbling idiot because I was trying to think of something off the top of my head to something that's actually kind of a fun thing to think about. But anyway, I appreciate that, Ben. So, what's up, Jake? Mr. St. Jake? Let's see. Good to see you, man. Revenge of the Sith came out when I was nearly 6. Stuart. Woo! That is crazy. That's crazy to think about. I mean, obviously the passage of time, we're all old, we're all young, but something that, dude, 2000, when I think of 2005, it does not feel like 15 years ago. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you older guys are the same way. Like when you think back at like 2009, right? 2009 feels like it was yesterday. It's 11 years ago. That's a long time. It's more than a decade. That's crazy. I've only been alive for 3 decades and 4 years. That's a big chunk. That's pretty nuts to think of. It just went by like that, right? So Jacob, have fun while you can. All right, let's go to the first Patreon question over here. The first Patreon question that you see in the bottom left of your screen comes from Nolan Baucom. Nolan says, of the amount of Rebels you have seen, what do you think so far, and are you excited to watch the rest? Personally, I haven't finished the Clone Wars out of boredom, but love Rebels. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. I did a poll on Twitter the other day out of curiosity, and more people voted for Rebels than I thought in terms of like, what do you like better, Clone Wars, Resistance, or Rebels? Overwhelming, it was the Clone Wars. I don't know if that's just, that show carries with it a lot of nostalgia, and it was obviously just very topical. People just watched the last episode, so I'm sure that kind of dictated some people's decisions. But I liked Rebels from what I can remember. I haven't seen it since. I haven't seen any of the first. I did see the first season, but I watched it as it was coming out. So I haven't watched any Rebels since the last episode of the first season aired. So from what I remember about it, which is very little, unfortunately, I remembered liking it. But obviously it didn't get me that excited to watch season 2 because I didn't watch season 2. It's not unlike with The Mandalorian. I'm super pumped for the second season of The Mandalorian. So it's like a case where, Nolan, I watched Rebels so long ago that I barely remember it. But yeah, my plan is to eventually finish watching it, Nolan. I don't know if I'm going to do individual videos for each, episode. Probably not. But let me turn my phone on silent. Sorry, guys. Probably not. But what I think I'm either going to do is watch the next season or do videos for each season, or just burn through the entire show and make it like an overall thoughts video. That might be what I do. But yeah, if you're bored with the Clone Wars, man, keep pushing. There's some great lists out there that will keep you engaged. The Clone Wars kind of benefits and suffers from having so much, because there are, there's arcs and episodes that just kind of really don't do much for me, and they're maybe a little more childish, or they kind of don't feel like they're going anywhere, or they just don't really, maybe they feel kind of repetitive and redundant. But dude, when the show is good, it's great. So maybe just, you don't have to watch all of it. Don't let people tell you need to watch all of it. You can probably find a list of essential episodes if that's what you got time for and that's what you want to do, So yeah, that's what I recommend, Nolan. But I appreciate that, man. Let's take one more Patreon question, and then we will hop on over back to the chat. The next question on Patreon comes from Mr. Paul Robinson, who has basically been here since day one of the HelloGreedo YouTube channel. He's been around this channel for a damn long time. It's always good to see you, Paul. Hope you're doing well, man. Paul says, well, hello from a very sunny Wales. Let me make sure the music is too. There we go. Okay, sorry. Very sunny Wales. Really excited to hear about your career plan. Sounds awesome. I'm following you and writing books right now. Nice. Both autobiography. One I'll let you know all about when it's out. The other, well, its working title is 50 Shades of Gay. Doubt it's your thing. Nice. As I type, Neverending Story has just come on the radio. Ooh. Which leads me to ask nostalgia. Oh, you're talking about the song. Yeah, of course. There's some great like early 2000s punk covers of that song that I love. Anyway, that's another time. But what songs take you back to another place when you hear them? I was a 70s, 80s kid, largely born in 71. So Star Wars when that was the movie title, not the franchise. Battlestar Galactica first time out, but the biggie, yeah, let me finish reading this. But the biggie for me is always seeing the music video for Ghostbusters. Boom. Instantly back to my nan's house where I lived. I'm 13. It's an autumn Saturday morning, and I'm watching that video in awe and cannot wait for the film to hit the local flea pit. Hope you're all good, Paul. Thank you so much, man. I'm going to look up when the first Battlestar Galactica 1978. Or, okay, so 1978 to 1979. 1980? There was a 1980 as well? So there were two. Is that it? Okay, nice. I've actually never seen any Battlestar Galactica. I know this wasn't your question, but I just want to briefly talk about it. I've actually never seen any Battlestar Galactica. In terms of a show that constantly gets recommended to me, man, it is way up there. Not only on this channel, but just kind of friends and stuff like that, knowing that what I like, they've recommended Battlestar to me so many times. It's just crazy that I've never given it a chance. Like, I started watching The Expanse. Nobody recommended The Expanse to me. I just stumbled upon it one day and I watched the first season. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Why did I watch that when like 40 people in my entire life have told me to watch Battlestar Galactica? Well, the newer series, whenever that came out, like, what was that, the 2000s? I'm not sure. Anyway, but songs, Paul. Yeah, there's a lot. So there's a band called Limbeck, and we're talking about nostalgic songs, right, Paul? There's a band called Limbeck, and they have an album called Hi, Everything's Great, and that album, is kind of brings me back to road trips with buddies. To me, it's the best road trip album ever. It's twangy. It's just toe tapping. It's great. So yeah, I'd recommend checking it out. Maybe you'll dig it. It's called Limbeck High. It's Limbeck, and the album is called Hi, Everything's Great. I believe it came out in 2003. Could be wrong about that. Let me see. Hi, Everything's Great, Limbeck. I think it was 2003. Yep, 2003. So yeah, that's definitely probably. So in 2003, I would have been like 17. That's probably one of the most nostalgic albums in my entire life. But there's a whole laundry list of bands and stuff like that I listened to around that time. But if I'm going like even further in the past, I grew up listening to, other than stuff that my parents did, like Fleetwood Mac and Bob Seger and the Beatles and all that kind of stuff. Motown, I listened to a shitload of when I was a kid. But I also listened to a lot of like 90s grunge, 90s alternative. Whenever I hear like Smashing Pumpkins 1979, dude, that brings me back to like just playing out in the backyard, having the radio on. Or, even Alanis Morissette, stuff like that, But a lot of 90s alternative, a lot of 90s grunge, Pearl Jam stuff brings me back for sure. But, it's kind of funny, right? How certain songs, certain albums. And then there's things like, there's a band called Hammock that is more ambient and kind of atmospheric music, and I love listening to it if I'm typing up a video or working on stuff, that reminds me of deployment, because I listened to the band Hammock when I would lay in my rack and like read a book. I would have Hammock in my headphones and I'd be laying on my rack and like reading A Walk Across America or something like that. Just some ambient music in my ears, But yeah. Anyway, I appreciate that, Paul. Thank you so much, man. I hope you're doing well. Let me scroll up here on these Patreon questions, and then I'm going to hop back over to the chat. I was curious. So all Patreon folks and Fleet members tonight, I've been kind of wrestling with what to do. One sec. Chris Salvador, thank you so much for becoming the latest member of the Fleet. Dude, thank you so much. Chris, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you get a special role in the HelloGreedo Discord server. There is a link in the video description below. If that is your thing, check it out. And also, I do these supporter Q&As once a month. I wish I could do more. The 2-year-old prevents it. But, dude, thank you so much for becoming the latest member of the fleet, man. I greatly appreciate it. If everybody could do me a big favor, I see some of you already have. Say, welcome to the fleet, Chris. I'd appreciate the hell out of it. But welcome aboard, shipmate. Thank you so much, Chris. Sit back, hang out, shoot the shit, and enjoy. What's up, Chris Tears? Good to see you, man. So, let me see here. Really enjoyed Battlestar Galactica 2004. Career plan. I'll let you guys know eventually, JJ. But yeah. So Thomas Hagener, thank you so much for the channel support as well. A super chat tonight. Thomas says, will you review the 2003 version of Clone Wars? Yes. So that is actually the next big thing that I'm going to be watching, Tom. Yeah, that's my plan. My plan was to finish or watch it after I finished season 7 of the Clone Wars. Obviously, the last episode aired on May 4th. And it is now May 20th, 16 days later, and I have not watched it yet. So, yeah, my plan is to probably one of these mornings, you know, I wake up super early. I've been running or doing dumbbells for the past 2 months. And usually just watching put on some bullshit YouTube, whatever. But one of these days, probably, well, tomorrow's a run day. Morning, probably Friday morning. Maybe I'll watch like the first hour of it at early, like 5 in the morning as I'm doing stuff. So, yeah, I will absolutely do a review once I watch that. And that's another thing, Tom, that gets recommended to me constantly. I mean, forever. Obviously, a ton of people recommended the Clone Wars animated show to me, and once I watched that, you know. Then people started telling me to watch the 2003 version. Some people have said they liked it better. So eventually I'll get it. I have so much shit to watch. But eventually I'll get around to it all, man. But yeah. Levi Gutierrez, thank you so much as well. Excited for the Right Stuff TV show coming out. Yeah, I am. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm really, you know, I don't want to fall into the trap, Levi, of comparing it too much to the movie. You know, the movie is one of my all-time favorite movies. I recommend it to people on this channel so often. I'm sure everybody is sick of me talking about it. So, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's the story of America's first astronauts, the Mercury 7. Yeah. So the show coming out, I'm going to try not to compare it too much to the movie, right? Oh, that didn't happen that way. That didn't happen that way. Well, I've seen the actual footage of Alan Shepard doing that. It was more correct in the movie, but not as correct in the show. I will suspend my disbelief and appreciate it as a dramatized version of a lot of things that I've seen, right? So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, to tell you the truth. I'm curious what it's going to bring to the table that's different than the movie and the book. So, and obviously it's an episodic show, and they're going to have more time to kind of go down these roads and these storylines and stuff like that. So chances are it will be a lot more in depth than the Right Stuff film, which is in itself very long. I want to say it's close to 3 hours, maybe even longer than 3 hours. 3 hours and 13 minutes. Okay. 3 hours and 13 minutes. It's worth your watch. It's worth your time. But that's a long ass movie. Anyway, I appreciate that, Levi. All right. Let me see. All right. Yeah, for whatever reason, man, Streamlabs, my browsers are not loading. So I apologize. I hope you guys can still hear me. I know I've asked that a few times. It's like my download is horrible, but my upload right now is great. I don't understand what's going on. Anyway. And the Muddler, thank you so much for the channel support this evening as well. Let me refresh this so I can see everything. There we go. The Muddler says, do you think Star Wars will outlive us? So let's just say we're all 34, like I'm about to be this weekend. Will it still be around when I'm 85? Let's say 85. Is 85 a good like a generous expiration date? I think so. That's all right. That's a really tough question, man. I mean, you look at things like Star Trek, you look at some of the monster movie, Godzilla, they're still making them. They're still often topical. Sometimes franchises stick around. And if I had to guess, I would say yes. I would say Star Wars will outlive us. In 50 years when I'm 84, I do believe that there will be, if not movies, I would be willing to bet that there will be new movies in the future, that far in the future even. And certainly books and comics and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, you look at a lot of franchises, Superman, Batman, all these franchises have been around for so damn long. They're like an institution. And even if there is like a 30-year hiatus where nobody gives a shit and nothing new is being made, 50 years from now, something's going to reboot, something's going to come back. But it's really hard to say. What form, though? In 50 years, what will be entertainment? I mean, will you be able to put on VR goggles and literally be Luke Skywalker? I mean, will you be able to do that? You'll be able to transport into the Matrix and you know, be in an existence that is indistinguishable from reality, but this time you're flying an X-Wing? Is that what Star Wars will turn into? Maybe all these franchises will just turn into like simulations. You could become the Hulk, you know what I mean? And just smash shit and live out these like power fantasies as Captain America, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it will, Muddler. Long story short, I think it will. Anyway, I appreciate that, man. Motion mask characters. Yeah. Yep, I'm way behind, Jake, but yeah, those emotion mask characters. Yep. And Scruffy Nerf Herder, how do you feel about the rumors surrounding live action Ahsoka on Disney Plus? If true, Rosario Dawson is a solid choice, in my opinion. Yeah, no, if true, obviously, Rosario Dawson is a solid choice. That's a name that I have heard thrown around for a long time, even before there was any kind of rumors, or before there was, you know, some, I guess, rumor or yeah, we'll just call it a rumor of Ahsoka like being in The Mandalorian or anything like that. I think it's a solid choice, absolutely. So, yeah, the rumor of a live action Ahsoka show. First of all, I have a hard time like fully believing and committing to rumors, because over the past 10 years of me doing this shit on the internet, having a YouTube channel, I have seen so many rumors come and go. I would say like at 99% of the rumors that have got churned up, especially like leading into The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, 99% of them were just junk trash bullshit. So I've kind of just seen too many of them to like just automatically believe something, you know what I mean? That being said, if they're going to do it, fun. I personally would rather have another show that is nothing but new characters and whatnot. I know we all love characters that we love. Ahsoka is one of my favorite Star Wars characters now. She's fantastic. But even then, like, I would still want just a show with a brand new main character that can stand, you know, that doesn't rely on things that came before, if that makes sense. That's just me though. That's kind of my answer to a lot of show ideas or show rumors and things like that, you know. But yeah. Anyway, I appreciate that, Scruffy. And let me see here. So, I apologize for being super long-winded. I don't know what the hell. I'm going to stop complaining about my internet. I have no idea what's going on. I'm trying to refresh all these things. So, Vince and Odo Junsun and Benjamin B, thank you guys for the super chats. It is time for me to look over at the Patreon questions. Oh, and speak of the devil, Mr. Scruffy Nerf Herder is the next Patreon. Remember, Scruffy Nerf Herder says, first post here, HG. Has your opinion changed at all since your November unboxing vid that Jedi Fallen Order is your favorite single-player Star Wars game? Also, have you beaten it? Despite some bugs, I personally love the majority of it. Hope all is well during these wild times. Yeah, it is. You know, when I always preface this by saying, when I wipe away the nostalgia on my goggles, that heavy coat, that thick crust of nostalgia on my eyes, like whip away Shadows of the Empire, right? One of my all-time favorite single-player Star Wars games. Boom. But when I look at it without those nostalgia goggles, yes, Jedi Fallen Order is my favorite single-player Star Wars game. I like it. I like it a lot better than like The Force Unleashed, for example. One of my favorite things about it, Scruffy, is the characters are great, the story is fun, the locations are gorgeous. It's just an all-around great puzzle solver often, you know. But the combat system, dude. The combat system, where you could lock on and the, you know, melee and parry, and it felt so smooth, and it just felt good. You know, when you describe like the way a video game feels, the way the controls feel, it just felt good. Unlike something like I played Batman Arkham Origins the other day for the first time, and I was wishing it had like a similar Jedi Fallen Order combat system, you know, because the Jedi Fallen Order combat system spoiled me forever and ever, and it basically has ruined most other third-person like heavy melee combat systems. But yeah, I have beaten it, Scruffy. I really enjoyed it. I unfortunately had the ending spoiled for me because of like an actual EA commercial during a football game, which is stupid. Which is dumb. I complained about that quite a bit. But yeah, yep. I've actually been wanting to go back and play through it because yeah, it was fun. And I kind of want to do more challenges and maybe even boost up the difficulty, which is something that is rare for me because whenever I'm playing a single player, like especially like a third person action and adventure game, I usually just go for the easiest difficulty and just breeze through it, play through the story, have the most fun I possibly can. But this time around, you know, new Star Wars single player game, want to get a challenge in, so maybe I'll do that soon. But I appreciate that, man. Let's see here. I like this song. This is a fun song. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Disney better not reboot Marvel and Star Wars. Maybe 50 years from there. 50 years from now. You know. The only familiar character I want in Mandalorian is Bo-Katan. Yeah, if it makes sense, right, Stuart? If it makes sense. I don't want it to feel shoehorned and thrown in there just for the sake of, I don't know, man. It's like, even that is almost too much for me. It almost makes me go, why? But, you know, if they make it fit, but yeah. Oh, you had no idea she did the voice? I didn't either, Vince, until I saw the announcement, and it's like, that's kind of neat. It's kind of neat. And all those rumors end up in the Island of Misfit spoilers. Oh, I need to make more dumbass videos like that. But yeah. Anyway, all right. So let me hop over here. I'm gonna ask everybody on Patreon and on here. These supporter Q&As, I've been doing them the same way for like 3 years. I've been debating about splitting it up and doing the Patreon Q&As on Patreon, like literally recording audio and uploading the audio just for Patreon, and then doing these on their own. You know, these whereas just fleet members. So like it would be separate, because you know fleet members are locked out of Patreon, and Patreon is locked out of fleet members, and it's just two different worlds. I'm curious, what would you guys think? What would you guys think? You know, anyway. Vince Wynn, thank you so much as well. I wonder if the first Force user was seen as a sort of Christ figure or a Superman. I'd like to see an X-Men-like story about the first Jedi Temple. Well, Superman had... Whoa. Sorry, this website just now refreshed. It's been spinning for like 15 minutes. All right, so Superman was always kind of seen as almost like as like a prophet. What was I watching recently that was very similar to? Oh, when the internet was, like I said earlier, Vince, the internet was down all day. So you know, I worked on some videos. I was able to actually make a video and upload a video later in the evening. But I went downstairs and I was working out a little bit, and I put on The Matrix. I just, you know, the internet was down, so I had nothing to watch. So I went through my Blu-ray collection and popped in The Matrix. And obviously Neo is I'm sure that's been broken down a million times, but it's very prophet, very, very Christ-like figure in terms of the I don't know, the metaphor of it all. But yeah, that's interesting. Oh man, I like the idea, as you put it, an X-Men-like story about the first Jedi Temple, right? Everybody kind of figuring themselves out and figuring out these powers, and maybe being a little reclusive because they don't want a lot of people to discover what they're all about. And I think that would be fun. At the same time, something like that would probably be, oh, that's a knockoff of X-Men, that's a knockoff of Harry Potter. You think about Harry Potter, it's very similar to X-Men in that way. And also, I like, as much as I love the idea of going back in time, first Jedi Temple, first people to discover the Force, fascinating, let's look at it. But at the same time, I kind of want to keep that mystery. You know, I want to keep that mystery alive. And not know too much about it. But it's interesting, Vince. So somebody that has that power, right? The Force. Somebody that has that the Force as a power and is able to do what a Force user is able to do. Even if it's just basic stuff, but it still comes off as magic, right? You could, depending on where your heart is and what you want to accomplish, you could come off as a god. You could come off as a god. Superman could have came off as a god. Superman could have portrayed himself as a god because he had these abilities, right? But no, he didn't. He's from Krypton. He tried to blend in, and he tried to assimilate. He didn't portray himself as a god among men, right? Or anything more than that. Anything more than just a man. I don't know. It's interesting. So the first Force users could claim to be some deity, I suppose. I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't know. As much as I want the mystery to, you know, be alive, I think it would be a fun thing to jump into. But yeah. And Odo Jun Sun, this is a weird fucking super chat here. Odo says, "Hey Dad, Mom and I miss you. Love you, come home soon. And also, can you call the police? I'm stuck on the toilet again." First of all, my daughter is 2. She can't type. Mom and I miss you. I can literally hear my wife and my daughter talking in the next room reading Peter Pan. I don't know if you guys could hear that. And if you're stuck on the toilet, I don't know, let them feet go numb. Try to stand up, start giggling because it tickles, and fall over because you can't stand, because your legs are numb. I don't know. What the fuck? All right, Odo. Odo Junsun. I appreciate that channel support. I tried to figure out what your avatar was, and I was looking at like the negative space. I was trying to. It almost looked like a club on a card, but I recognize that it's a dog now. It's a dog. But yeah. Anyway, I appreciate that, man. Hope you're doing well. Silly son of a bitch. And Benjamin B, thank you so much as well. Looking forward to your KOTOR 2 playthrough. Stick with it. It really blew my mind wide open thinking of the Force in a new way. What would you say is the one scene / moment that made you rethink Star Wars? Rethink Star Wars. Well, first of all, I'm really looking forward to it too. I played recently within the past like year and a half, maybe about 8 hours of KOTOR 1. I'm really curious what changes between games. KOTOR 1, it felt super clunky to me. Maybe I don't play very many RPGs like that, and I just oftentimes I kind of zone out when I have to pick what I want to do. But enough people have told me that KOTOR 2 is better, and I'm gonna play it. And a lot of people have kind of echoed your sentiment there, saying that it's in so many different words that it was made them rethink what Star Wars was, as you put it, or made it look at things in a different light or from a different perspective, but more of the gray area opposed to the good versus evil, light and the dark, right? But what would you say is the one scene / moment that made you rethink Star Wars? God. So, that's really tough. With the Phantom Menace way back in the day, I remember, obviously I saw it when I was a kid. I was 13, but I remember it feeling so different from the originals that I watched, as soon as I was born. And things like the ending lightsaber fight, that kind of made me rethink lightsaber fights. And even Duel of the Fates, the song. Oh, they can have voices that aren't Ewoks in a Star Wars song? Huh. That kind of made me rethink that. But I think if we're talking about modernity, if we're talking about modern Star Wars, I think a lot of the things in The Last Jedi kind of made me realize that surprise and kind of unique directions is what I crave in Star Wars. And I've been saying that since before The Force Awakens came out. I want new. I want surprises, twists, and turns. I want to be, I don't want to be fed bullshit. I don't want to be all my Star Wars movies to just be predictable, globs of the same nonsense over and over again. Luke at the end of The Last Jedi, Luke on Crate, right, is one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars, and that kind of maybe it didn't make me rethink Star Wars, but it made me appreciate Star Wars even more than I it just added another layer of appreciation, just something so unique and different. And even with the transfer of like physical material in The Last Jedi, where it started there, the rain on Kylo's glove, things like that, rethinking what you think of when it comes to the Force, because every Star Wars movie added more Force powers, right? More Force abilities, more Force lore, whatever you want to call it. And The Last Jedi, I think, did a good job of kind of showing different sides of things and giving us new and interesting ideas to explore. So that's what I want in my Star Wars, right? That's why, the Rise of Skywalker just is like whatever. I don't, it just doesn't appeal to me. It's not what I want. It's not that I didn't like it. But The Last Jedi, on the other hand, is what I'm looking for in a Star Wars movie. You know, to me, they're very, very, very different. As much as a lot of people say, you know, they love them both. That's great. I wish I did. Yeah, just they're two really good examples of what I like and don't like about Star Wars. So, yeah. Anyway, I appreciate that, Ben. I want most of Legends to return to canon in some way while getting completely new. Yeah, I'm sure, Stuart, they'll start pulling maybe more Legends stuff into canon. We'll see, though. If it fits, you know. The thing is, you can pull a character from Legends into canon and just be like, okay, a lot of those stories, you know, they're still Legends, but let's see what fun things we can do with these characters, right? And just say that, yeah, those old stories maybe didn't necessarily happen, but let's just have fun with these characters, right? Anyway, I get it. I don't really have any Legends characters that I like deeply, deeply love and want to see back, so it's kind of hard for me to form a little opinion on that. But anyway, the next Patreon question comes from Star Wars Media. Let me take a quick sip of the old water. Star Wars Media says, "Howdy, Greedo. I would love to get your take on this. Do you think Star Wars has been / is starting to become more shallow and appeal to the lowest common denominator? I see franchises like Blade Runner get these deep philosophical films that leave you thinking for years, but it seems that Star Wars has a lack of that recently. I know that philosophical sci-fi is a totally niche thing, and niches don't sell like blockbusters do, but I feel there is a ton of untapped potential in the universe of Star Wars to explore something more meaningful. The question of, do artificially made humans have a soul? Oh, I see what you're saying. Has way more meaning and weight compared to something like Episode 9, if you ask me. But this is just one man's thought. Would like to hear your thoughts. Have a good one." There's definitely a spectrum, right? I mean, like, is appealing to, what would you consider the lowest common denominator, or becoming shallow? If you think about it, I mean, To me, The Last Jedi is one of the more interesting Star Wars movies. It's on par in interesting new ideas with Empire. Don't like it as much, but that's okay. The Last Jedi is my 4th favorite Star Wars movie. You can guess the spot. But what comes before. What are we talking about when it comes to lowest common denominator or shallowness? The Rise of Skywalker, I would kind of throw in that camp. It to me, it just felt super generic blockbuster, not really that interesting, right? But then on the other hand, you have a show like The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is just fun, simple storytelling. It doesn't really bring up any deep philosophical ideas or questions or anything like that. It's just a fun, man on the run, has this baby Yoda, but it's simple. It's just like not ruffling any feathers. It's simple, fun, easy to watch Star Wars, right? 25 minutes or something like that. Boom. There's room for that, right? There's room for all of it. There's room for really interesting, deep philosophical Star Wars movies or moments. And there's also room for things like The Mandalorian. That is just straight up simple. Or Solo, which is, I've grown to like it over the years. It's kind of interesting, the more I watch it, the more I like it. You can have something like that too, But yeah, do artificially made humans have a soul? Made humans. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. You're not talking about Star Wars with that question. So yeah, there's room for all Star Wars or all science fiction, right? concepts and stuff like that. And certain things, like you look at Star Trek. Star Trek is an often optimistic view, at least like the original series and TNG and those Star Treks. The modern, I'm not a fan of Picard. I tried. But there's room for all different types of storytelling in sci-fi, and Star Wars maybe is a little more swashbuckling with some philosophical glitter sprinkled on top, right? But yeah, I'm sure we'll get a little bit of both heavy, deep philosophical, interesting things that kind of focus more on the Force and all that stuff, and then just fun, blast them up, shoot them up, Mandalorian type shows, right? But anyway, I appreciate that, media. Yeah, Stuart, I don't blame. What time is it over there? It's 5 hours ahead? 9, 10, 11, 12. Is it 1 in the morning? Yeah, dude, get some sleep. Get some sleep, man. I appreciate you hanging out. Yeah, I might end up doing Patreon and Fleet member things completely separate. I might end up doing that just to be able to focus on one or the other, you know? Like I said, I've been doing this way for 3 years. And maybe it's time to kind of split them up and do Patreon audio only, and just focus on that, and then also just do Fleet member hangouts like this, you know. We'll see. Let's jump over to another Patreon question before we hop on over to the chat. The next Patreon question comes from David Smith. David Smith says, "Hey Greedo, what are some of your favorite games to play on Xbox? I've never really been much of a gamer, but I got suckered into buying an Xbox One on Black Friday with Jedi Fallen Order. Nice. And since then, I've been hooked. I've played that, of course, in Battlefront 2, along with all my old Star Wars games from my original Xbox and 360. So I've got Star Wars covered. Haha. Just wondered what you'd recommend outside of Star Wars. Hope you're well and love the channel." Well, thank you so much, David. So yeah, I've never been that big of a console gamer, David. I own an Xbox One S. I like it. It's basically my media player. My Roku doesn't work, so we've been using the Xbox for a couple months, and for the longest time that was our media player too. And you know, occasionally I'll dabble and play a game or whatnot. I'm still playing Red Dead Redemption 2. It is the game that I've played the most of over the past year, I would say. Other than that, games that I've played are like Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I think that was the first game that I played and beat when I first bought my Xbox One S, like 2.5 years ago or so. I've played Wolfenstein, the newer Wolfenstein game on it, which was a blast. I'm trying Rocket League. My wife got me Rocket League over last Christmas, and that was fun as hell. I haven't played that in a while. What else have I played? Man, I'm having a hard time trying to think. There's games like Lovers in a Infinite. Oh, what is that game called? Lovers in an Infinite Space-Time. Lovers in an Infinite Space-Time is a really fun, like, just, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a co-op multiplayer game where you're in charge of, I don't know if it's like online multiplayer or just couch multiplayer. I've played it couch multiplayer. But you're in control of a spaceship, and everybody has their own, like, job. Like, you might control the shields, and somebody else might control the weapon system, or, you know, different aspects, or the engines. And you all have to work together to kind of beat each level. And dude, it is fun as hell. It's a really fun and unique game that I think everybody should check out. It's a lot of fun. Then there's more like indie games like The Swapper. David, if you like puzzle games, I would check out a game called The Swapper. It's like you have a cloning gun, and you have to figure out these puzzles by cloning yourself and hopping into these various bodies, and it's just fun and atmospheric and a little creepy, and It's fun. Yeah, it's fun as hell. But yeah, man, other than that, like I said, I'm not much of a console gamer. Occasionally I'll get a game and play it a little bit. I have a bad habit of like buying Xbox games and playing them for 15 or like a couple hours and then never touching them again. That's why I don't buy Xbox games. I usually just stick to PC gaming. That's where most of my friends play, so that's why, you know. But yeah. Anyway, David, if you know anything good, let me know. I'm trying to think of things that I've played recently. But it's basically been like Red Dead for a solid year, man. That's pretty much the only, other than like Rocket League. That's pretty much just the only game that I've played. Oh Jesus, I completely missed it. Sorry, guys. Franz Nerdnan, Vince Wynn, Benjamin B, and Mr. St. Jake. Take it easy, St. Jake. Mr. Jason, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. And I appreciate the hell out of that channel support this evening, man. Your Roku is broku. That's I will give it to you. That's not bad. Franz Nerdnan, I was about 7 when I saw Revenge of the Sith while dressed up as Return of the Jedi Luke. Nice. The best part of it all was when Darth Vader said no. And my dad and I started cracking up in the theater. That was funny, dude. I remember those moments. I remember when people laughed. I remember that kind of stuff. Like serious moments or moments that made people groan, right? And now it's really interesting to hear that, or there's like this weird narrative going on, and it's probably just a trolling narrative on Twitter that nobody ever disliked the prequels, right? And that's bullshit. People laughed their ass off when Vader yelled no. But yeah, that's a good memory, man. Dressed up as Return of the Jedi Luke. That is a good costume too. That is a solid costume. That is if I was to dress, I was gonna say if I was to dress up as Luke, I would go as Return of the Jedi Luke, but I might go Empire Strikes Back Luke. Like, yeah. I might go Empire Strikes Back Luke, like Tauntaun riding Luke even. Oh, I don't know. But that's awesome, man. That's awesome. 7 years old. So you were 7. You would have been born in what? 98? That's crazy. So you were 1 year old when the Phantom Menace came out? Wow, that's crazy. That's fun though. Interesting. But yeah, anyway, friends, good memories. That's like the memories of going to see these movies are as impactful as seeing the movies, you know. But hell yeah. And Vince Wynn, thank you so much as well. As Disney takes ideas from the well, let me refresh this. There we go. As Disney takes ideas from the well in the upcoming years, I wonder if it will ever dry up. Specifically, I wonder if it will dry up enough for them to make the Milky Way canon. Would they ever dare? No, I don't. They would just make another galaxy. I don't think it'll ever dry up. The thing, like, I look at other franchises and like Star Trek, Vince. I mean, modern Star Trek doesn't do much for me, but I guess it's popular. Is it? Do any of you guys subscribe to CBS All Access? Is that what it's called? I don't anymore. I've given it a shot. Not for me. But as long as they take breaks, as long as they have new and inventive filmmakers coming in to make movies, then I think the well will not dry up. But I think they need to get just get more inventive. Make smaller, lower budget Star Wars movies, right? You don't need $400 million. I don't even know what the budget was for let's see what the Rise of Skywalker budget. I'm sure it was 200 something, 200. $275 million. What? $275 million? You could hire a 5 really unique and independent and just like young and inventive directors or writers to make these unique Star Wars movies. Go look outside of the box. Yeah, you could go on for a very long time, but if they're all going to be these giant, like $275 million Star Wars movies, I mean, okay, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I would love to see maybe lower budget, really unique, different Star Wars movies from almost no-name directors and writers and stuff like that maybe have made a couple things in the past, and just see what they come up with, you know? Low risk, high reward. I don't know, but that's just me. Maybe you would have a lot of junk and bullshit floating out there, but hey, at least it'd be different. I don't know. Vince. And if it ever does dry up, I guess they could just take a long break so everybody forgets what came before. Anyway, I appreciate that, man. And Benjamin B, heads up, KOTOR 2 defaults to turn-based. Oh, okay. But you can enable real-time, improves combat 10 times. Also, I want to say I appreciate your level head. Too many Star Wars YouTubers angry from one view or another. Yeah, it's the nature of the beast, man. It's the kind of the angrier you are on YouTube, or the more like a narrative that you push, or the more maybe the more conspiratorial minded you are about like shit that doesn't fucking matter, the more I guess you stay in the consciousness of viewers. That is not me. I have zero desire to be that way. And I find the people that do just to be completely disingenuous, and I know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Anyway, but I actually did not know that it was possible to do. Was real-time combat possible in KOTOR 1? Was it? I don't think that was an option. If it was, nobody told me. But that sounds way more enjoyable, Ben, because that's one of the reasons that I probably, especially like when I tried to play that game when it first came out, the first KOTOR, I've never liked turn-based stuff. That's one of the reasons I've never tried like a Final Fantasy game. That's one of the reasons that I can't really get into a lot of like the Total War or the Civilization games. And RPGs and stuff like that, like KOTOR 1, that have turn-based combat. And it's just, I guess it's just, I don't know. It's like playing cards with graphics. I don't know. It's not very exciting to me. But, so I appreciate that. I didn't realize that was an option. But I really appreciate the kind words there, Ben, and the support this evening. And I hope you're doing well. And I will absolutely do that. And I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. But yeah, anyway. The next question on Patreon comes from Psychotic. Psychotic says, "Hey Greedo, happy early birthday. My question is there any type of advice you can give me for editing? I've been wanting to do some videos, but I really don't know how to edit, and seeing your videos, I thought I would ask for advice. Thanks, man. Have a great day." It depends on what you're editing. Like, so if you're editing, I don't know, if you're editing like video game stuff, which is something that I love playing video games. I do not like editing video game footage. Do not like it. I will record an hour of gameplay and then forget where all the highlights were. I'll have a notepad sitting next to me, and I'll think to myself, when I do something good in the game, I will write down the timestamp. I will look at the clock and see where on the stopwatch I made that great shot. You know what I mean? And I never end up writing it down. So I end up just kind of like scrubbing through an hour worth of footage and missing a lot of stuff, and I just don't have the patience for it. So if you're doing video game stuff, I would highly recommend you do not fall into that trap. You write down timestamps for when, you know, you did something good in a video game, or found a section of your gameplay that you want to use, because yeah, it sucks going back and trying to like scrub through all your footage. But yeah, so, and other than that, it's really difficult to give pointers for editing. If you have music, I would highly recommend editing to music and the beat, because let's say you have a song playing in the background, like I often do. I have a song playing in the background of a video, and this probably goes completely unnoticed, but it's just something that, you know, if I didn't do it, it would drive me crazy. So like if I have a song with a beat in the background, you know, the camera has to switch when the drum hits. Boom. It has to coincide with like a hit of bass or something like that, or to make the transition seamless, if that makes sense. But editing is just kind of one of those things that the more you do it, the more you kind of find your own rhythm. I'm sure, I've never looked into this, but I'm sure there's like editing, not classes, but like editing tutorials. I'd be willing to bet that this exists, Psychotic. Maybe there's like an editing tutorial on YouTube, and then the person who uploaded this tutorial also includes some files that you can edit alongside him or her, and you could edit, you know, a video and figure out kind of how it all works and get some pointers through that way. So yeah, it's all about finding your own rhythm and knowing when to cut and when not to, and that's kind of impossible to. I'm an idiot, so I don't know how to explain it well, but yeah, like I said, there's probably some really great videos out there that could definitely explain it. But the best thing you can do, shoot some footage and just experiment. See what is more pleasing. If more cuts in your footage is more appealing to you, or if there's a longer cut, you know, just kind of experiment with it and find your own rhythm. That's what it's all about, man. But best of luck. I'm curious what you're going to be editing. But I appreciate that, Psychotic. I've never played KOTOR all the way through. I don't like the combat either. Yeah, it's one of those. Exactly what I just said. You know, turn-based combat in games has never been something that I've liked. I guess I just don't have the patience for it. I would rather, I would rather play a real-time strategy game like Age of Empires, where I literally throw 175 like archers at an army and I just watch them battle it out. I don't want to have to select and roll my turn and all that kind of stuff. Maybe if I played a lot of D&D back in the day, that would appeal to me more, but nah, I don't know. That's one of the reasons that probably drove me to not play it and stream it anymore, is that turn-based aspect. And what Ben said about it, KOTOR 2 having the option for real-time combat, puts a fire under my ass to play it. So, what's up, Mad Dog? Good to see you, man. All right. The next question on Patreon comes from. Let me pop the chat out again. There we go. Sorry, guys. I'm having to refresh all of my pages because for whatever reason my internet is ass. My download is ass, but my upload seems great because I'm streaming. So weird, man. Anyway, the next question comes from 6 Foot Piss Radius, our old friend, Mr. 6 Foot Piss Radius. 6 Foot says, "Hello, Greedo. I forgot what to ask, but I'm gonna come up with something anyway. How much do you recommend the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? I'm not really a fan of how avant-garde, if that's the term I'm looking for, some of these streaming service exclusive shows seem to be. Are you thinking of a la carte?" Maybe that's what you mean. I would look these up if my internet... I can't look it up. What is going on with my damn internet? Okay, enough complaining about it. Let's see, what else? But I still kind of want to see what all that hoorah is about. Same goes with Stranger Things. I plan to check it out one of these days, but my expectations for it are quite low, as I've heard that it relies heavily on 80s nostalgia. Oh yeah, here's my real question. How soon do you plan on watching and reviewing Star Wars Rebels again? Now that Clone Wars is all done. I really love your reviews of the first season, even though you could benefit from a rewatch at this point. I could not agree more, 6foot. As I said at the top of this stream, I barely remember it. I barely remember watching the first season. What year did that come out? Rebels season 1. Oh, come on. It's chugga 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 chugga. I hope I'm able to watch something on Hulu Live tonight. We're watching. It's still not loading. It's still not loading. Now it just loaded. That is crazy. So the regular series premiered on Disney October 2014. Oh, wow. That's crazy. October 2014, before The Force Awakens. So yeah, I would definitely benefit from a rewatch for sure. So yeah, I don't know when I plan on watching Rebels again, man. It's, first of all, I need to get through the 2003 Clone Wars series. And if I do watch Rebels, I'll probably end up just doing season reviews. I'll probably just end up burning through the show, probably when I work out in the morning. Just have it on and pay attention to it as much as I can. As you know, time. But do you have an Amazon Prime account? If you do, I mean, obviously you can watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel was a sleeper for me. I did not know anything about it before we started watching it. It is funny as shit. It's kind of, it's, you know, the time period is fun, and, you know, they introduce like real life characters like Lenny Bruce, who was a comedian back in the 50s. But overall, it's just a really funny, kind of like fast-paced, over-the-top, sometimes inappropriate show. And yeah, stick with it. Give it a few episodes, and I think you'll like it. It's yeah, like I said, I didn't know anything about it before I started watching it, and just, I don't know what made us watch it. Probably just one of those things where we saw, I don't know. My wife probably said she heard good things when we started watching it. Yeah, thoroughly enjoy it. If I was to say either watch if your two options are Stranger Things or Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I would rather watch Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, to tell you the truth. Stranger Things is fun. You said it relies heavily on 80s nostalgia. It does, but it's just it doesn't necessarily rely on 80s nostalgia. It is kind of just, it does definitely surround the show, and it's always there. But it also makes it fun because it is kind of like looking at this time period of like the Goonies and Stand By Me, and well, Stand By Me I think took place in the 50s, but you know, these movies that came out in the 80s were and kids cursed, and they're running on these quests and stuff like that. So I don't mind the 80s nostalgia stuff because it kind of fits in the music and the tone and all the set pieces and the arcades and all the stuff that they do, Ghostbusters, and it just adds to the show, and I honestly don't mind it. Just adds another layer of fun. But if you got those two choices, I would check out Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I think it's a great show. That goes for anybody listening to my voice. A great show. But I appreciate that, 6foot. And yeah, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is on Amazon. If you have a Prime account, you can watch it. So, Prime, Amazon, I mean, Amazon, what is it, like $100 for Prime? You get their streaming service too, and I don't know. We'll talk about Amazon another day. Caleb Kemp, thank you so much for the channel support this evening, man. Good to see you. Ah, shoot, forgot to drop my queue on Patreon, so I will hear LOL. If there's a Battlefront 3, what would you like to see? Also, any luck with your streaming settings? Well, first of all, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. I greatly appreciate that support this evening. Where did it go? There we go. Any luck with your streaming settings? Nope. I tried episode 1 Racer, and I didn't have any luck. I have not tried Rogue Squadron, so I still need to do that. But no, unfortunately not. At least I followed what you did, and at least no luck there. I still don't get it. I'm wondering if, like, maybe I should hook up my old laptop and just play it on there, plug my laptop into my desktop, and, like, broadcast... How do I put this? Broadcast my entire try it that way. Like, broadcast my laptop on my desktop and use that game window on my laptop to use in OBS on my desktop. Does that make sense? I'm curious if that'll work. If that doesn't work, I don't know what the hell's going on. But, so, you asked if there's a Battlefront 3, what would you like to see? So there's a couple obvious things that I've been bitching about since Battlefront 2015 came out. I would love there to be a server browser and the ability to make my own maps and host my own server and stuff like that. Number one. That's like number one. Boom. That's what I want. Another thing would be a mode that's very similar to like a Battlefield map. And sure, Conquest is similar, but there's something about Battlefield where you can hop in and out of vehicles seamlessly. It just feels more open and free. And I would like something like that in Battlefront. Again, Conquest is very close, but I don't think anybody could deny that a Battlefield map just feels more grand and open and free. So I would like that as kind of the primary, the primary mode, I guess, and more modes. Like, God, I don't know, man. The first Battlefront 2015 it was fun. It was simple. It didn't have enough content, but it kept my attention for a while. It was very arcadey, right? Very arcadey. Battlefront 2, just over the years, well, it's only been since 2017. It's 2.5 years. They've ramped it up so much, added content, to the point where there's really not much that I want more from Battlefront. You know, I'm pretty happy with Battlefront 2 as it is right now. That I don't know what they would do in a Battlefront 3 other than like make something very similar to Battlefield or add some modes like cargo was in Battlefront 2015, or what I really want, the server browser and the map making abilities. You know, that's basically what I want. Anyway, Caleb, I appreciate the hell out of that, man. Hope you're having a good evening. And the next Patreon question comes from Mr. Steven Homolak. Hey Greedo, in a recent video you discussed how you don't want excessive details in Star Wars canon to hinder a filmmaker's creativity. I agree. Since you are a space exploration junkie, I am curious what your thoughts are on the accuracy of the technology and protocols in space exploration movies, since it is real-world technology and not laws of fictional universe. How much more important is the accuracy to you? So, what are your thoughts on the accuracy of technology and protocols in space exploration movies? So, if we're talking about something like Apollo 13 or First Man or The Right Stuff, and that type of movie that is telling a true story with real people, be as accurate as you possibly can. You know, why change anything? Why not present the way things happen, the way things work, the technology, the way it was. Now, if we're talking about something like, I don't know, Star Trek, for example, a lot Star Trek tries to be very as realistic as possible, or at least plausibly realistic, right? Where I am completely fine with giving a show or a story a lot of wiggle room is in something like what's it called? Like subspace communications, right? Subspace. I don't really even know how to describe it. But it's basically, I almost think it's like not necessarily a parallel universe, but subspace is like bubbles in the universe and almost like slipstreams. And it basically, subspace is a way for Star Trek to have instant communication and like instant communication, transportation, and all sorts of different things. It's like another frequency on top of this frequency that we're all existing in, right? So when something is introduced to a franchise like Subspace is I think the best example that I can think of, I'm fine with it because at least it's a thought, it's an idea that they came up with to solve a problem, and it's an interesting one, right? So yeah, Subspace is a pretty good example of what I would completely let slide. If you're willing to create this new concept, this new idea, and make it sound plausible, and completely fine with it. Star Wars, on the other hand, like, dude, spaceships bank as if they're in Earth's atmosphere, and noises, explosions, and all sorts of stuff in space. If you're looking for science and accuracy in a movie, delete that YouTube video because you're looking at the wrong franchise. but yeah, so when it comes to real world, like actual movies and exploration and stuff like that, make it as accurate as possible. But even something like Interstellar, right? Pretty consistent. A lot of the stuff that they did with relativity and gravity and aging and stuff like that, fascinating, really well done. When he gets sucked into a black hole, right? Everything from that point on gets completely theoretical, and I think the math breaks down. I don't know. I'm an idiot, but that's, give him wiggle room too, right? Because that's you're going into a fictional world where no man has gone before. So yeah, let them have a heyday of writing stories where this guy goes into a black hole and he sees like a billion different outcomes or something like that. I barely remember that movie, but so yeah, I'm fine with taking a lot of artistic liberty. But anyway, yeah, Chris, light years to talk to anyone in space. That's what's funny to me, man. Even communication from the Earth to the moon and the moon to the Earth during the Apollo missions. The speed of light is 168,000 miles a second. I think that's right. 168,000 miles a second. Speed of light. My internet, man. I don't know what's going on today. Let's just say 168,000 miles a second. So, but the moon is 250,000 miles away. So even during those missions, when they were on the surface or when they were on, orbiting the moon, that communication was even delayed at that distance. 100. I flipped it. Am I dyslexic? 186,000 miles a second. Did I say 168,000 miles a second? So yeah, even at that distance, it's very slightly delayed by like a second and a half, or like a half a second or something like that. So yeah, like a half a second, I think. But to talk to like Proxima Centauri, it's like 4.25 light years away, the nearest neighboring star to our star. Yeah, you send out a message of hello, and they wouldn't hear it for 4.5 years. You know, we got to grant our franchises some wiggle room, I suppose. The reaction nerd. Every time I think about Star Wars, the first thing that pops up is A New Hope. Yep, me too. Me too. And I grant that, or I attribute that to be this, you know, the fact that that is the Star Wars movie that I watched the most of as a kid. I love it. It's kind of the definition of Star Wars to me. But yeah, man. Love it. The next question on Patreon comes from Jack. Let me scroll up here on the old OBS overlay. Boom. There we go. Jack says, have you had a chance to watch the making of the Rise of Skywalker documentary? It's a fascinating look at the production and how even the smallest detail is created. My favorite bit is all the effort they had to bury a storage unit in the desert so puppeteers can perform a small scene of alien children in the background. My problem is that it's too clean and omits the production trouble Episode 9 had. They fired a director, J.J. Abrams. Oh, interesting. Oh, I see what you're saying. J.J. Abrams coming in late on schedule and never touch any of the writing decisions like Palpatine or retconning the events of Episode 8. Oh, that. Yeah. So no, I have not seen it, Jack. It's on Disney Plus. I know that it is. There's a lot of things that I need to watch. I need to watch 2003 Clone Wars. I need to watch Rebels. I need to watch this. Definitely. I've had a lot of people recommend this to me too. It'll be fun because I didn't really care for the movie, you know, Jack. So to watch the making of, I'm sure it'll give me a more of an appreciation for it. What you just said about they had to bury a storage unit in the desert so puppeteers can perform a small scene of alien children in the background. So people were like buried underground in a box, and I'm gonna watch it. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I've seen every like behind the scenes making of Star Wars thing possible. It's just a matter of me not having time to watch it yet. But yeah, I'm sure in the future, Jack. Those are like details that we're gonna have to wait for, right? The decision to bring back Palpatine, you know, the firing of directors leaving because of creative differences. That is a very common thing, right? Too common. And it leaves me with a lot of curiosity. We've had Colin Trevorrow. We've had the Lord and Miller, the Game of Thrones guys. Is that it? I feel like there's more. I can't remember. I'm tired. Out of all that I just named, though, I really, really wanted to see the Lord and Miller version of Solo. I'm curious if they made it very like lighthearted and fun. That's kind of what I wanted the Solo movie to be. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure those answers, Jack, all that kind of stuff, that knowledge will come out in the future. There'll be some kind of making of documentary in the future where they interview a lot of these people and we'll get some more information. Because it's a curious thing, you know, definitely a curious thing. But anyway, I appreciate that, man. I'll definitely check it out for sure. The one that has always got me is Time in Star Wars. Day one on planet. It's also day on all planets. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Star Wars. You just got to give it to Star Wars. Like, I mean, if you think about it too hard, whatever, you know. We're not going for accuracy in space travel and communication when it comes to Star Wars. But it is funny. Day on one planet, it's also day on all planets. Yeah, and not only that, all planets are all the same, right? This planet is a snow planet. The entire planet is snow. This planet is sand planet. The entire planet is sand. This planet is jungle planet. The entire planet is jungle. This planet is water planet. It's just a big beach. But yeah. And Christopher, Mr. Moth Meta, good to see you, man. Let's scroll up here. Chris Topher has the final Patreon question of the evening. Boom, and he typed a ton, and I'm not going to be able to well, I guess I can scroll up here. I'll scroll up as I read it. Let me take a quick sip. Chris Topher says, "Hello, Greedo. I hope you and yours are doing well in these strange times. I missed a few Q&A, so I'm going to triple up on questions." Sounds good to me, man. Let's see. The first question for Mr. Moth Meta. Boop, there we go. By now, I'm sure you've seen that clip from the end of Disney Gallery Episode 2 where Dave Filoni talks about the meaning of Duel of the Fates and how the battle between Qui-Gon and Maul tracks all the way to the battle between Luke, Vader, and Palps in Return of the Jedi. Thoughts on it? I'm going to disappoint you here, Chris. I have not watched that yet. I started watching the first episode of the Disney Gallery thing, and I can't remember what happened. It might have been like early morning, and I was feeding my daughter breakfast, and I couldn't really pay attention to it, so I just turned it off. So I haven't, and I've seen so many people like post that clip on Twitter, and I haven't sat down to watch it because I've been wanting to watch those gallery episodes. So unfortunately, I can't really comment on it, and I don't want to step out of, or talk out of turn. I've heard some people say like, you know, it's nice to think of it that way after the fact, or maybe that's not what George Lucas was intending, or you're put in context where context wasn't actually there. That being said, I've heard that, and I've heard people just kind of also praise what he said and agree with it as well. So I need to watch it myself before I can give any kind of comment. One sec. Sorry. Okay. Cool. And let's scroll up for Chris's second question here. Chris says, after seeing The Rise of Skywalker, I'm left wondering this. The sequel trilogy undid the ending of Return of the Jedi only to really leave us at the same spot. What was the point? Come to think of it, the ending of The Last Jedi seems like a better point of closure for the saga. Let's think about it. Evil will always be there and light will rise to meet it. It doesn't matter that we don't know the ending after that point. All we know is that the fight will always go on, but there will always be hope and light to combat it. I kind of like that better. Thoughts from you? Did they? Oh no, it definitely made sense. I completely agree. The end of The Last Jedi is to me a far more satisfying conclusion. I don't necessarily think the events of The Rise of Skywalker kind of undid the ending of Return of the Jedi. In a way it does. It makes, I think the events of The Rise of Skywalker, I look at them as like their own thing, just kind of separate from Return of the Jedi. That's how I have to like justify it in my brain. I don't think The Rise of Skywalker like ruined Vader's redemption. I don't think it undid Return of the Jedi, the ending of Return of the Jedi either. I mean, we could go talk about this forever. The Palpatine being back, it's too goofy to me. It's too like silly of an idea. It's too boring of an idea for it to like really bother me. You know what I mean? It's just so dumb that I don't get it as a creative decision. You had a lot of great things going. You could have done some really interesting and unique things. But it doesn't bother me. It doesn't ruin anything else. It doesn't undo the ending of Return of the Jedi for me. You know, does that make sense? I don't know. But I agree. I feel like the ending of The Last Jedi was more climactic. with Luke and Kylo and Death of Snoke, it feels like and then you look at the Rise of Skywalker, and to me, it was just like two lightsabers against Force lightning, and Palpatine opened the Lost Ark of the Covenant and burned his face off. I don't know, man. But yeah, I certainly, like, if there's two examples of Star Wars movies, The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, so different from one another, I will choose a movie like The Last Jedi every single time. The Rise of Skywalker is just kind of the perfect example of something that, like a Star Wars movie, that I'll just shrug my shoulders at and be like, all right, it wasn't for me. I'll go watch the things that I like, but that's all right, right? But anyway, and the third question for Mr. Chris. The third question says, I've been thinking about that line in Return of the Jedi lately. Obi-Wan once thought as you did. I was wondering this. Could this be a great jumping off point from the Obi-Wan Disney Plus series? When Vader tells Luke this, it's just after Luke asks him to come with me. From what we've seen in Sith and all the rest, we've never seen Obi-Wan try to get Vader to come back to the light side. I think this would be an awesome idea to explore in a series. It would give Obi-Wan a reason to leave Tatooine at point. Thoughts? I see where your head's at. But I kind of don't want that at all. I kind of want the idea I kind of want the idea of just like Obi-Wan staying on Tatooine. His entire existence in the show is to be mingle with the locals, blend in with the locals, and kind of stay in hiding. You know, I feel like the more Obi-Wan would reveal himself, the more he would endanger himself and Luke and you know, all that. And just, yeah, kind of out himself. And I never took it as Obi-Wan once thought as you did, meaning that, like, in a way that Obi-Wan was trying to get Vader back to come to the light side. I always kind of took it as maybe Obi-Wan was more idealistic, and he thought there was more. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. Vader was almost like living a life of servitude, and it seemed like that's the only way he could. I don't know. But no, Chris, I actually don't want to see that. I don't want to see Obi-Wan leave Tatooine. I love the idea of it. I love the idea of him staying on Tatooine and have to, like, contend with the population and figure out how to blend in and stay small and local as much as possible. You know, I'm sure there's no question in my mind, Chris, that he is going to leave Tatooine. He's going to get into lightsaber fights. There's going to be all that kind of stuff. But what I really, really want from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is almost like a small character study, castaway in space, Obi-Wan hiding out, laying low, you know. But yeah, and Chris also says, thanks for answering and be well, Chris, aka Moff Meta. P.S. Okay, last thing, I wrote a children's book, nice, and I'd love to share it with you. Let me see here. Love to share it with you. It's called Mr. Ace and the Rainbow Bridge. Would love to share it with you and even gift you a copy. And there's the link. Let me see here. Where is it? Mr. Ace and the Rainbow Bridge. Mr. Ace and the Rainbow Bridge. Wow, it pops up, dude. Before I even finish typing it, it pops up and says book by Christopher. To follow. That's crazy. Wait, that was in my browser. Oh, sorry about the mess pops up too. That is crazy. I've never noticed that. Huh. Oh, interesting. All right, I'm gonna link it in the chat here, Chris. Boom. If anybody watches it after the fact. Oh, it's free on the Kindle? Nice. Mr. Ace and the Rainbow Bridge. Oh, this looks fun. I like the illustration on the back. That's cool, man. Congratulations. This is really neat. Huh. This is really neat. Sorry, I'm reading the reviews. Nice. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. All right. Oh, there you are. Oh, here's a little bio. I'm just going down a Chris rabbit hole here. Anyway, I appreciate that, man. All right, so it is time for me to jet. Sorry, guys. Looking at something here. There we go. Cool. It is time for me to jet. Oh, Caleb Kim, thank you so much for the final super chat and channel support of the stream. Generous super chat and channel support. Where I'm right after this, I'm gonna go watch the Michael Jordan episode 2 of the Michael Jordan documentary. Super excited. Caleb says, just gonna ask, I used your face for a cameo in one of my vids before, but if time allowed and we could work out the details, would you be interested in collaborating for a review from the Battlefront? Was thinking about doing a last meta review, reviewing the Scarif update. If it's not something you could do or are interested in, feel free to say no, just thought I'd ask. Oh no, definitely, man. If you if you want me to record audio or something, just something super simple, or if you want me to record jump in front of the green screen and do something stupid for a couple seconds, yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. Just feel free to shoot me a tweet and let me know what you have in mind, and we can sort something out. But yeah, if you want me to record, yeah, like I said, record audio or read a few lines, or yeah, I don't know, jump in front of the green screen and dance. I'm not gonna dance, but yeah, 100%, man, definitely. But I appreciate that this evening, man. Very generous super chats and channel support, Caleb. And yeah, like I said, if you fire a tweet over to me, we can set something up. You can send me what you want me to do, and I'll try to find the time. But all right, guys, it is time for me to jet. Time to watch a little Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. So to all the supporters who watched this, who tuned in, who listened, thank you guys so much for the support. The channel survives because of you guys. To everybody who just listened to my dumb voice and didn't know what the hell was going on, thanks for hanging out. To everybody who sent over super chats and channel supports this evening, thank you guys so damn much. And now it is time for me to go pop some popcorn, watch some Michael Jordan, and yeah, I'll probably do a stream tomorrow night. Oh yeah, gameplay footage for sure. But yeah. Anyway, so with that being said, oh, Lego Star Wars fan 77, thank you so much for coming in with a final super chat and channel support of the stream. I know you didn't like Rogue One. Ever wonder why? Many do. I definitely have wondered that, why so many people like it. And I obviously the answer is everybody's different. Everybody likes different Star Wars stuff, but like the idea, it's just really interesting to me, man, because one of my favorite Star Wars, my fourth favorite Star Wars movie, and certainly my favorite Star Wars movie in this modern era is The Last Jedi. And one of my least favorite I like Rogue One more than The Rise of Skywalker, I think. Maybe not. No, I think like the Rey and Kylo relationship there redeems The Rise of Skywalker over Rogue One for me, but it's just kind of interesting, like how so different people's views on what they want from Star Wars is. And if we try to argue about which is better, you just end up yelling at a brick wall and wasting your time, you know. So have I wondered? Of course. But you know, everybody's different. Some people like vanilla ice cream, some people like chocolate ice cream. Some people like pepperoni on their pizza, some people like pineapple. It's all good. But all right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If I don't see you tomorrow night for a stream or afternoon, well, I don't know when I'm going to stream next. I will see you when I see you. Cool? Cool. All right, let's end this thing with a fun, upbeat song. All right, guys, enjoy your afternoon, your morning, your evening, wherever the hell you are on planet Earth, and I will catch you all on the flip side. See ya.